All right, today I'm going to talk about a bit of a serious topic, suicide, because it's come up recently. Recently I mentioned that suicide for myself may be a reasonable option given some difficult circumstances. And those circumstances have since been resolved. Everything is fine. But I've gotten a lot of messages from people about suicide, how it's selfish and you should never do it. It's never an option. A lot of stuff. And right now I'm just going to talk about the idea of when suicide, or even just risking, like 90% chance of death kind of risks, are acceptable options. Like when, if ever, is suicide a reasonable option? And I wouldn't say a good option, because if you ever get to the point where killing yourself is the best option you've got, there's probably something that happened in the past that has gone so horribly wrong that now you're just left with no good choices. But you can't go back and fix that, right? So sometimes you're just in a circumstance. So a little while ago I gave this example, and I'm going to elaborate on it a little more now. Say you are on an island. Let's call it Mahogany Island, because there's lots of mahogany trees. So you're on this island, and it's called Mahogany Island, and there are 10,000 people living on this island. So there are 10,000 Mahogany Islanders. And then one day, this ship rolls up, floats up, and people come out and capture 100 of the Mahogany Islanders. Now, it's only 1% of the people. It's not going to be, civilization-ending thing. But you're one of these 100 people that has been captured and taken onto the ship. And it's a slave ship. And you get on the ship, and you see there's like 1,000 slaves on the ship, from the area around. And 100 of them are Mahogany Islanders. At this point, you have a choice. You have basically two choices. And one choice is to accept that now you are a slave. The other choice is to fight back. Now, if you just accept that you are a slave, and maybe you try to fight back a little, but you just basically accept it. The next time the ship comes to Mahogany Island, they're going to say, those are some good slaves. Let's go get some more. And you can all see where this is going. Now, say when you get pulled aboard this ship, and you're all chained to your fellow Mahogany Islanders and maybe a few other people. Maybe you get aboard the ship and you decide, no. So you go up to the fanciest looking person, the person who looks like they're most in charge, and you say to them, maybe you don't even speak the same language, but you make it clear, Mahogany Islanders are not slaves. And that person makes it clear to you, yes, you are slaves, or you die. At that point, you turn to your Mahogany Islanders and say, all right, that's it. Fight to the death right now. And you go crazy and start beating people, and you're all getting shot, and you just fight to the death, and you jump over the side of the ship, dragging any other slaves you can with you. Just insane, savage, murderous, suicidal craziness. And 5 minutes later, every Mahogany Islander is dead, plus another 50 slaves. And 6 guards have been killed, and a bunch wounded. What's going to happen the next time that slave ship comes to the area? Oh, that's that Mahogany Island there, isn't it? You remember those guys. All right, let's skip that island and go to this next place over here. So you end up sacrificing 100 people to save all the rest. And then what if word gets out that the slavers are leaving the Mahogany Islanders alone, or maybe they're throwing some cannonballs in there now and then because they're just pissed off at them, but they're not trying to capture slaves anymore because it's just not worth it. And the word gets out. And then everyone in the area galvanizes in themselves that they will fight to the death rather than be slaves. Next thing you know, the whole area is basically off limits to the slavers because it's just not worth it to deal with people who are willing to die for what they think is right if you're trying to make them go against it. It's just not worth dealing with people like that. And to someone like me, that is the correct choice. Fight to the death rather than accept something that's unacceptable. And this whole idea is just, it's almost non-existent in our society today. Like today, not only are people not willing to die for what they think is right, they're not even willing to be uncomfortable. You know, today people are presented with something, someone says, sign this paper, and they say, I'm not signing this, this is a terrible thing, this is horrible. And the person says, you sign it right now! Whoa, okay, you don't need to yell, just fine, I'll sign it, you're making me feel bad. And this is one of the big reasons that our society is just having a lot of problems we're having today. But if people would start standing up for what they thought was right, two big things would happen. Like if people had the idea that they're going to fight to the death, like they will die for what they think is right. They're going to start really thinking about what they think is right instead of just subscribing to whatever group. Oh, I'll just pick this identity group or that political group and I'll just adopt all of their ideas and then just argue whatever I'm supposed to say with like sticking a hand crank in my head and just blah, 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 you know, spouting the pre-scripted thing because it doesn't matter and I'm just arguing about nothing and blah, blah, blah. No, if your life is on the line, if you start thinking, well, I'm willing to die for these values, people are going to start thinking about their values. And they're going to stop just like adopting any group that they just feel like, oh, I'll just do this one. No, they're going to start thinking, wait. I don't know if I really want to die for that. Let me think in my own head, come up with my own ideas, things that this is my life that's on the line. I need to think about it. So I think people are going to end up with much better morals. And then people aren't just going to be able to get pushed around. I mean, I don't even want to get into it right now because it's like a 4-hour video all on its own. But like people today are basically living as slaves financially for the most part. And if people were willing, if you would rather die than have a 30-year mortgage, you're going to find some way of getting a house without a 30-year mortgage. And there's going to be all kinds of things that happen like that. If you would rather die than do what you think is wrong, so much stuff in the world would change like that. All right, I'm going to go eat some food. So to sum it up, choosing to die for what you think is right, I don't think that's a selfish choice at all. I think the selfish choice is choosing to live because it's easier and just accept things. That's the selfish choice. Choosing to die for what you think is right is doing something for everyone else, not for yourself. This should also help you answer that weird question. Why is suicide illegal?